A freezing wind blew across the alley where Emry Hambric had parked her car. Her windows were down. The cold chilled her face, but not nearly as much as the sudden feeling of dread that crawled across her skin. "Clarence," she whispered. Something was desperately wrong. He should have been there by now. She glanced into the back seat, and it was the limp body of a small 6-year-old boy. "My son, I'm sorry," was all she could say. If only the apology could take back years of mistakes so that maybe she wouldn't be there, running from all she had done. If only she could have lived a few more weeks, she might see herself turn 27. But she knew in her heart she would not even see the next sunrise. Emry never cried. She was always the strongest, always pretending to be the strongest. But now, as she looked back on her life, and down at the child she loved so much, tears formed in the corner of her eyes. She would never see him again. "I won't let them get you, I promise." The moment the whisper left her lips, she felt a start. Her gaze jerked up out the back window. She had sensed something move, a shadow, or rather the feeling of a shadow, watching her. Someone was coming, and Emry knew who it was. "She's found me." Emry thought she would be safe in Dunce. No mage would follow her in there, none of the police from outside either. She glanced back at her son. It was too late to run. She'd have to send him elsewhere. There was no more time to waste. She spun around quickly, searching the floor for something to write on. She tried her pockets and finally found an old scrap. Without hesitating, she scribbled her note on it. "This is all I have to give you," she whispered, stuffing it into the little boy's fist and closing his fingers around it. She knew he wouldn't remember anything. Her magic was strong enough for that. But at least he would have the note. She hopped out and threw the back door open, pulling the boy up to her. Much as she longed to, she could not hold him for a second more. The darkness of the alley swept over her as she punched the button on the trunk of the car. The lid swung up, and she pushed her son down into the cramped space. She reached to her neck, touching the string of a necklace that was hidden under her shirt. But before she could take it out, she heard a scrape behind her. She jumped forward, slamming the lid shut. Her skin crawled again. Her breath came quickly. She pulled from deep within, drawing on magic. For the magic to work, she needed something that came from the intended destination. A note from a neighbor's house, and he'd materialize there. A shirt, and her son would wake up in a department store. But as every sense within her screamed out in impending danger, her mind drew a blank. In that desperate instant, she flung the magic at the trunk, hoping it would find something to use, anything to send her son from this terrible place. "Sedani Awa," she gasped out. She couldn't manage another breath before a hand burst out of the darkness. It caught her by the throat, throwing her backward to the pavement. Her arm scraped against the hard road as she fell. "You fool." The woman's voice was harsh. Emry looked up, her back to the ground. She couldn't make out her attacker's form in the dark, but Emry knew who the woman was. Emry heard the click of a gun, but she didn't flinch, didn't speak. She just lay there, bleeding. "Lock him in the trunk," the woman said sharply. "You can't hide him from me." She punched the button, and Emry heard the lid pop, sweat forming on her brow. What if it didn't work? Emry's heart began to beat faster, but then the woman stopped. "Where is he?" the woman hissed. Emry closed her eyes. "He's safe." She heard the lid slam, and she looked up again. The woman stood over her. "Where have you sent him?" she hissed. Emry said nothing. "You're going to die either way," the woman stated with no emotion. "And we're going to find him either way. It's only a matter of how long it will take." Emry stared at the end of the pistol. With no traces of magic, the magic investigation of police wouldn't even notice the case of a woman's death by bullet, even if they found a way into Dunce. The woman gave an evil smile. "Who's the powerful one now?" Emry didn't reply, but slowly, slightly, she forced herself to smile back, and with that, the woman shot. Emry's body dropped, all strength gone in an instant. Then with a mocking, vengeful sneer, the woman pulled the trigger again. Another shot rang out. Emry felt her cheek strike against the pavement. She slid her fingers on the hard road, struggling to breathe, gripping the black rocks until they stained her fingers. As she lay there, she heard the woman give a small laugh and saw her legs walking past, leaving her behind to die. The world darkened above Emry, a black cloud drowning out the moonlight like a sheet being pulled over her face. She had known it would end this way, but at least Bran is safe. Her eyes started to close as death embraced her, but in that final moment her gaze fell across the street, and sitting there, hidden in the stack of crates, was a little girl. The girl's eyes were stained with tears, her face white and trembling. She had seen it all. And as the night of April 18th passed and the morning came to life, a boy named Bran awoke in the city of Dunce. And that's the prologue.